Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Iron Panther Presents. Today, Chris and I are going to get into The Chi, Season 3, Episode 8. The aftermath of Keisha's abduction and abuse. And this episode really dealt with her, her mental struggles to understand the world, to get back to her life. Can her life ever be the same? Dealing with the trauma of her abduction, and also apparently the guilt of killing her captor. And that was interesting that we got into that. What was that an outstanding moment for you today, Chris?
My favorite moment of it, if that's what you're really asking, is the interaction between like Emmett and Keisha, and how like that those two were so intertwined with each other. That's a road dog. And even though they're not together anymore, because even when they were together, the way they talked to each other was so like they were best friends. You know what I mean? So I liked that. I did like that moment. I thought that moment was pretty cool.
And that goes back.
Yeah.
Well, so that moment actually kind of reminds me of the first episode, when after the wedding, they're sitting up there at the beach or whatever, talking about her future. She's about to go off to college, and he's like trying to encourage her to be like, this is a good thing. It's like, you don't want to be around here just getting pregnant by some dude. And she was like, what's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? But he was trying to say, there's more for you out there, and just trying to, help encourage her, So it was interesting that he was the one that got her out of her shell, that got her to go to the table and eat.
Right. See, for some reason, I thought it would also be, Kevin for some reason too. I know there were flashbacks of him trying to cover up for her and her getting pissed. Yes, I know that's why they threw that in there. But there was even more. There was more flashbacks of them always having so much deep blood, certain things that she would tell her little brother that she would not ever tell her mother, and vice versa. Certain things that he's going through that his sister was just kind of giving advice, oh, you got a little girlfriend, okay, well, here's some advice. You know what I mean? To the point where even when she was abducted, she remembered his birthday and even create, kind of did that drawing. You know what I mean? Say happy birthday. And them reminiscing about the pancakes and stuff, and how he was upset to say, nah, nothing can kind of take place with me and my sister. So I thought, even though, yes, it made sense with Emmett, I thought Kevin would also be the other guy to kind of break that mold. And nah, it just, it just turned into a whole lot of frustration that I guess he was dealing with. I mean, I would say yes, selfishly, but looking at his age, not surprising as well. And then that just turned this huge blow up at the table. So.
I mean, I agree. I also thought it was going to be Kevin. I mean, he spent the entire season, where's my sister? Where's my sister? I miss my sister. I'm mad at my girlfriend over my sister. I thought they would have that moment, right? Now that she's back, they would, he would try to talk to her. He would make an effort. He would make some kind of effort to be let's capture what we used to have. And like you said, he spent most of the time just sulking by himself. But it was almost because Nina, especially Nina, really, Nina was so focused on, we got to get Keisha better, that she just kept on pushing Kevin to the side. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, why are you frustrated at me? I'm just trying to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? And you take your frustrations out on me. And that, again, that turned into Kevin just doing his own thing. He's like, well, let me just talk to my friends. When is she going to get her shit together? He's like, I'm tired of her being like this. I'm tired of this situation. When are we going to get back to normal? You know? And that seems kind of a little selfish, but also he got a lot of emotions working through it. So I was trying to be understanding. He was getting on my damn nerves, but I was trying to be understanding, to be he just got his sister back. He's trying to work through it. And he's like, where's my place in this family? If it's all about Keisha, and Keisha don't want anything to do with us. And then it was interesting how the whole episode was shot in the house. That it seemed like the Williams family was together, but they were apart. I mean, you had Kevin in his room, you had Keisha in her room, you got Dre in the bed, you got Nina on the couch. So as much as they were together, they really were apart, and none of them were on the same page for most of the episode, really, until they all sat down at dinner and yelled at each other for a while, and started the conversation. Healing comes up with being honest, really.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. One thing one thing I was kind of surprised about though was the way. Yeah, one thing that kind of upset me was the way Kevin was talking to his mother. Yo, I don't know a single black woman who would have let, like, even the first time he said shit, like, right, like, got up to her face, and that I don't know a single black woman that would not had that hand just go right across his face. The whole time I'm thinking like, what? And then she said, "Oh, if you curse one more time, I'm like, yo, nigga, you should have done that. That was 30 seconds ago.
Yes.
That hand should have been going across his face, like frustrated or not. Like the way he was talking some reckless shit to his mother.
I thought Dre was gonna step in. I mean, she's more of the of the disciplinarian.
I think Dre was like, "Yo, all right, man." Nina keeps saying I'm overstepping and everything, and that she was just like, she was like, "Fuck it, fine." That being said, though, like I do have to give a shout out to Dre for trying. Dre, I mean, obviously the show, the way the show's set up to make you really, really like Dre. And her methods are great. My only problem is it would be with everything she did with the whole thing with her friend, like bringing her friend to the door to visit Keisha, as well as like saying, "Hey, you need some help." That would be great if two things took place. If A, they were married for several years, and two, if that was her biological daughter. Because everything she did looked like she was overstepping. You know what I mean? Like, barely newly, like everything, and that's the thing. What she was saying, like, I did not disagree with really anything that Dre was talking about. But there were certain boundaries I thought that she just kind of went too far ahead. And I was like, yo, you can't do that. Like, I understand, yes, she needs help. You're absolutely right. You bring it up, and the first time that you brought it up, like 2 episodes ago, last episode, like when Nina shut it down, that just let it go, at least for now, for the next, like, I don't know, next few weeks, whatever. The whole thing with the friend at the door, that's where I agree with Nina on. That should have been a conversation. You don't know what like sometimes friends, especially young friends, because they say stupid shit that can be a trigger to someone who's just come out, being traumatic. You should have even asked Keisha if she wanted one of her friends, Not to mention the friend that she did send over just happened to be an instigator to the press and whatnot. And I was like, damn, like, you got friends like this who needs enemies. Like, yeah.
So I thought, I mean, you're right. So last week was a good example. So again, the problem is they didn't do a good job in season 1 and 2 to remind you that they've been together for years. Like Kevin says, he don't remember a time that Dre wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? It's only that this season they've shifted the show to make it seem like, Dre and Nina met last season and now they're just trying to figure each other out. Like, they've been together for a long time, But you're true. Like, Dre wants to try to move forward. She's constantly trying to put forward, and Nina's trying to hold back. And like both of them they have good intentions, but like to me, Nina was right, because if she would have listened to Dre last episode, and then so Keisha comes home to her room cleaned out because they're trying to move on and shit, she would have lost it. You know what I'm saying? So like Dre at some level needs to have some patience. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, like take a step back. These aren't your kids, you know what I'm saying? But let Nina do her best to try to work through it. But as you saw, like when Keisha first went missing, Nina takes a lot of crap on herself, right? Like and she, even at the table, even when she told Jada, like she thinks everything about Keisha reflects on her. That if Keisha's upset, it's because she's a bad mother. If Keisha got kidnapped, it's because she's a bad mother. Like she makes a lot of stuff about herself, and it's like, let's look at, and let's like try to help Keisha out, but she gets wrapped up in her own feelings sometimes. So neither one of them are always right, always wrong. But yeah, Dre was constantly like, don't worry about it, it's gonna be okay. And most of the time it was not. Yeah. And then with Tammy coming over, Tammy, Emmett, they helped Keisha to an extent open up. You know what I'm saying? Like she didn't want to talk to adults. She did not want to talk to her parents, certainly. And she did, for some reason, Kevin didn't want to talk to her. But her friends, she was kind of able to open up, So I was like, I can understand the thought. My problem with Tammy's conversation is that ultimately I'm upset that these writers once again are doing a horrible job of helping us understand who Amari was. Like he has been the focal point for the last 6 episodes, you know. And today, Papa was the only one to ever mention this man's name. If it wasn't for the fact that many of us watched this show with subtitles, we wouldn't know who Omari was in the first damn place. Yeah. The flashback at the beginning of this episode showed you that he was in the Pitt's Pizzeria. Oh, that's him.
Yeah, that's how I was like, oh shit, that was him? Okay, yeah.
The fact that we're like, oh shit, is because again, and then this man is dead now. So we're not gonna get, and like I had to pause the screen. When you see Keisha printing up the articles about him, right? I had to pause the screen and stare at it to read the news article that said he was a local track coach. He and she were at several track events last year, but they don't know if they actually knew each other. Like, I shouldn't have to work that hard to figure out who this man is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that should have been part of the conversation. Tammy's on the track team. Keisha's on the track team. Keisha was fucking the track coach. You would think part of the dialogue would have been, oh, Omari, I remember him from so-and-so event. I can't believe, girl. Like, help us use the characters to help us understand a little bit who Omari was, how he may have ran into Keisha. They want to have conversations about threesomes with teenagers and shit. Like, I'm like, there's better things to do with this dialogue and this time. You know, like it just irritated me. They had an opportunity and they shitted on it, you know, to have another useless conversation instead of having an important conversation about what happened to Keisha and how she ended up where she was, to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree, and I would say, but I will say this: if this was on like any, like I said this before, if this was like on any other network, if it was like HBO, I would imagine that they should like fill in like those small little gaps or whatnot. But as you know, but like when it comes to like something like this, I think what they try to do is just try to just kind of put you right into the whole scenario of what's going on with Keisha, and we'll just kind of throw some stuff in to kind of be like, hey, you know, she got kidnapped. Don't focus on exactly why he targeted her specifically, because that's beside the point. You know what I mean? But she got kidnapped, and we want to kind of show you what happens to someone's dramatic. And I think that was their intent. I mean, you know, so you know what I mean? So, and yes, and then yes, there is holes. You know, but it's just, you know, I don't, you know, I mean, when you're watching this, you're not watching it for like some grade A steak necessarily, you know.
I was saying, she was printing off articles, right? And she had a stack of them, right? And I understand, right? She's so focused on the event, she's focused on him. She wants to make sure he's still dead. I mean, I get that. She should have picked up the article, read it, and as she's reading it, we're reading it clearly. You know what I'm saying? And then, okay, you know, got it. You know, that's that's their way of like letting us know the backstory in a realistic way. I got it. You know, and then I would have been cool with that. I would have been cool with it.
Yeah. To me, it didn't really make that much of a difference. The only thing I just kind of wish that they kind of touched up on was because to us we were looking at Omari as someone who kind of took care of her, but then she had all those bruises on her. So now I'm confused now because it seemed like they were giving out mixed messages, and I don't know if that was just an actor's choice, like Omari, like the guy who's playing Omari. That was like, you know, because people ad-lib, right? But he made a conscious effort,
not to hit her.
Previous episode to like restrain himself, and you know, and like I've seen interviews with Catherine Shy, and they say a lot of times they do ad-lib or whatnot, and now it's making me think, was that like really kind of an ad-lib? You know what I mean? Or anything, you know, because, you know, you saw those bruises, like, well, shit, nah, that's not self-inflicted. That's from another, like, someone laid hands on her. So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I was having the same problem because she didn't have those bruises on her chest when she first came home. Like that, like later on, all of a sudden she takes off her shirt and she has stuff like right here, like in the center. And you saw the center of her chest when she came home. Now, you didn't see her arms because she was wearing that jacket even when she came home. But as I keep on watching it, like she had bruises here, and I'm like, where did those come from? And even if the actor was like, you know, I don't want to be the one to physically hit her, okay, like show us some bruises if they are from him. I was just confused on that too. Like, she could have had bruises, visible bruises on her while she was being captured, right? So then we have an idea of what's going on. But that one scene of just her bruises, she don't talk about them, she don't show them to anybody. I'm like, what is this? Like, what are we trying to? What's the message we're trying to get from this? Like, I was confused myself.
Yeah, no. Well, so for me, it wasn't that I necessarily needed to see the bruises before. It was they kind of, to me, it seemed like they were trying to give you a narrative that he didn't hit her at all. Because here's the deal: like walking into this, like seeing that she was kidnapped and whatnot, I automatically assumed the two things: he beats her and rapes her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's things that they did in the episode, in like episodes after that, kind of show like, okay, maybe he probably had sex with her, but he did not lay hands on her because he, like, the way he always treats her and kind of just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certain things. So for me, it wasn't about, oh, they should have necessarily showed the bruises. I would have been okay if them not showing the bruises up until this episode, only if they did not try to lead you on a certain path to make it look like he was a nice guy in his own twisted head. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I got you. I'm saying we're saying the same thing. I'm saying with the fact that he twice, she disobeyed him, tried to escape. You would think those would be the moments that he would hurt her, right? If he was that type of dude, right? Yeah. The fact that he didn't, then all of a sudden she pops up with bruises, and all of a sudden the bruises are gone. I'm like, what happened? I mean, where did the bruises come from, and where did they go? And it's like, so it was very confusing, right? And then it gives you a mixed message of what his plan was, what he did to her. But clearly, anyway, either way, she's traumatized. I mean, that's so whatever. But then now, not only did she lose her freedom, but now she lost her scholarship. So then she tears up her wall. She's like, what's left? Like, if I can't leave, I'm stuck here. I'm sure one of the reasons she don't want to go back to school because she's like, her classmates are talking about her. She's probably seen a lot of stuff online. And then she burns her clothes, and to think that she's, now she's going through the process of, did I do it to myself? Am I somewhat responsible for this, right? And then, and Nina, so interesting, when Nina and Dre were talking, and Nina asked Dre, have you ever been violated? And then she says no, and she's like, well, then you don't know what you're talking about unless you've been there, type of thing. Like, did you get the impression that maybe Nina was sexually assaulted at some point?
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, matter of fact, well, see, if you look at actual statistics too, like when it comes, like a lot of women have, you know what I mean, and they just don't, report it. So I mean, to be honest, when she asked that question, I was actually expecting Dre to say maybe yes. You know what I mean? So, so it's just, it's a tough world for just a woman to try to make it, out here. It's tough, So, so yeah, no, I mean, no, I think they basically made it clear that something happened to Nina, but at the same time, I don't think they wanted you to get derailed by talking about her story, and instead, because then that would detract from Jada's story. Because because they wanted someone who was not her parents, since she feels like her parents ain't really doing much or whatever. It seemed like if they kind of dwelled towards Nina's story, then Jada's story that she would have had towards Keisha would have been kind of useless. You know what I mean?
All right.
So,
I mean, I thought. See, I took it differently. I took it this was an opportunity for Nina to relate to her daughter to a certain level, to be like, I too went through this. Like, you can talk to me about it. I mean, I was totally surprised when Jada was the one that came to say, I was sexually assaulted by a family member. Like, that took it to a whole different direction. But it didn't take away from Keisha's story. I'm just saying, if Nina's trying so hard to be there for Keisha, that maybe she would open up to be like, we can go to therapy together. Like, we're both going through this. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'd be interested that she don't bring it up to her at all.
Well, yeah. So, and that's the thing. Yo, you know what, Nick? Yo, as much as she loves her daughter, I gotta tell you, man, trauma is a hell of a thing. Like, as much as she loves her daughter, who knows, whatever probably happened to Nina is so messed up that even though she might know in the back of her head that bringing it up might help my daughter or whatnot, but it might mess her up kind of saying it out loud. Because I mean, how many women that where they're like, you know what, this happened to me and I don't want I would take this to my grave, because if I speak it into existence, it's there. You know what I mean?
No, I understand, man.
And I think that's and that's why I'm not surprised. That's why I wasn't surprised that conversation wasn't been had, especially the way Nina kind of snapped at Dre. It's like you haven't been. It's like you've never been a victim. You know what I mean? Like it just I don't know if she didn't even look like she was that comfortable to even kind of share her own story without breaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. So you being a parent to try to console your child when you're already on the brink, that's not a good, horrible idea. I mean, maybe in the future when they're both cooler heads, calm down and whatnot, when Nina's not already like on the edge already, sleeping on the couch and all this other stuff, and then now dealing with her son going through all his adolescence crap and all this other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I'm saying.
Yeah. So maybe in the future, maybe we'll see in the future.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe since all three of them are going to therapy together, like maybe it'll come up then, as to be like, so Nina will open up to give Keisha an opportunity to open up, and maybe that goes somewhere. I'm just saying, like, it was a very important scene. I just hope it actually does result into something that Dre follows up, with her about it, and maybe they can talk about it, as Keisha goes to counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was cool. And then you really got Emmett. So excuse me, not Emmett, Ronnie. So to see Ronnie. Again, the only person Keisha called that she actually wanted to see was Ronnie. And like, that's huge for him, right? Like, he's like, and he was like, no, you gave me purpose. Like, you saved me, to an extent. And it was great to see them, kind of help each other through this both traumatic process, for them. And her asking him, like, I had to kill him, right? Like she's like, that's the thing. I was like, oh, she's still dealing with that guilt, to be like, and he's like, how do you get through it? And he's like, you don't get over it. It's just every day you got to deal with it. And that's the only time him mentioning I killed someone was the only reference to season 1, to be like, that night, obviously he's talking about Coogie. And I'm like, he didn't mention the name, which, I think with different writers, he would have, because I'm sure Keisha knew Coogie, but like, for him to be like, I'm still dealing with it. I'm still processing it. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's an important thing. Like, maybe this will be something that they too can, like, at times talk to each other about. Like, she feels like you get me, like, you understand me. And I thought that was impressive, and bringing his story arc, forward.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing. Everybody knows what Ronnie did. That's why he's always shunned away. Everyone knows he shot he killed Coogee. Because so everyone knows that story. Everyone knows about Brandon and Brandon's little brother. So, and that is why, like, you didn't see, like, Nina necessarily, even though Nina was smiling when Ronnie left, no one was necessarily embracing him and like hugging him like, thank you so much, necessarily, because it's a complicated relationship that they have with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And on top of Kevin witnessing what Ronnie did on top of that. You know what I mean? So it's and Nina and Nina and Dre knowing what Kevin witnessed that traumatized him in the first season. So it's Ron, obviously you see that Ronnie, and it took Ronnie a while for him to even kind of admit what he did. He finally admitted it to that detective in the second season, like that kind of, or basically kind of said like, yeah, I deserve this. Even when he went to jail, he admitted what he did and whatnot. And I think he finally thought like, okay, the bad stuff's behind me. Like, fine, I'm living on the streets or whatever, but I'm now just looking forward or whatever. People are kind of looking at me as just a kid murderer, but F it, I can't worry about it. And then bam, the sister of the boy who he tried to validate and try to convince that he's not necessarily a bad guy, his sister goes missing, and all of a sudden it just like it spoke to him. You know what I mean? Like I got to make this right because of what I did to Coogee, what I did to like Kevin and his family, like everything. So I thought that was a good moment. I actually kind of wanted a little bit more in that scene. I mean, I guess that was appropriate for what that was because they obviously both witnessed something traumatic, but for some reason I thought Ronnie was going to give even more of like talk even further. You know what I mean? I expected that same talk that he was saying about the whole like, no, you won't get over it. Yes, I see his face every day. I expected that part, but for some reason, I was expecting a little bit more from that combo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just, I don't know.
Well, this may, I'm sure this won't be the last time that they meet and they have this conversation. As at least for the next 2 episodes, I'm pretty sure they'll meet up again just to see where Keisha's at, just to see where Ronnie's at. I mean, does this help him stay sober? Does he, now that his purpose has been fulfilled, what's his new purpose? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, he's going to be the local investigator, looking for other girls that gone missing. I mean, he's 2-0 so far. So, I mean, he could. So again, what does it mean for him, like moving forward? As for people who showed up and didn't show up, they brought up the vigil in the episode. So I'm interested that Tracy didn't show up as she led the vigil. Nook, again, for some reason is mentioned by Tammy. Kevin mentions, I went looking for your boyfriend, but for some reason Nook has not been seen in 2 months with his girlfriend missing. I'm sure we're actually not gonna see that character. No. And then the 2 aunts from episode 1, what I'm saying?
They were ratchet. They were talking shit about her. Of course, they ain't showing up.
Well, I'm saying, I mean, she's back. I'm saying, I mean, talking shit or not, you're gonna be happy to see your family member back.
No, not necessarily. Never mind. I ain't gonna.
I understand, man. I'm saying, so if family member goes missing, you at least stop by to see what's going on. And then
after you talking about them being loose or fast, I guess we ain't that close with family members.
They got right to the wedding. So anyway, this characters that could have
to the parents' wedding, nothing to do with her. So they were close to the mother, obviously. The mother, that was their sister. But to your niece, you're just fast and loose. So obviously you don't care. You don't give a damn about me, your niece.
That's the same thing Kevin said and Tammy said. All right. So in this episode, even Kevin.
Oh yeah, in this episode. Well, hell, but Kevin lives in the house, so. That you can't go away from that. Man. I'm talking about those 2 trifling ass aunties in the first episode. Nah. I mean, like I was surprised they were even invited in the wedding talking like that.
I never seen them before.
And they were talking about some talking about like, oh, do 2 women really? They're saying something. I was like, why y'all? I was like, why y'all invite these 2? I was like, Diamond and Silk. Y'all just invited Diamond and Silk to the wedding.
Well, the point is they shouldn't have been in that case. They shouldn't have been involved. They shouldn't have been written into the episode at all because I mean you've never seen them before, and they're not. I
just felt that they were comic relief in the first episode. That's because all their lines are just comical but fucked up. You know what I mean? But speaking of comical, Papa,
what's up?
Yeah, like what you think? With him, he lost his virginity when it comes to smoking.
Yeah, I mean, he got the vapors, I guess. I don't remember actually puffing, but I mean, but he reminded me of a Friday sitting up there like having paranoid delusions. Somehow he already had the money that Omari gave him in his pocket. Like he was like, I gotta get rid of these 30 pieces of silver. Like you've been walking around with tip money in your pocket all this time.
Yo,
like
who be writing that kid's scripts, man? It's
I don't know, man. I was like, what are you doing?
I don't understand. You know what? Like. It's funny when both Kevin and Jake like both say it's like, what are you talking about, Pop? Because I be saying it at the same time, and I'm like how y'all friends with him? And I don't just mean because and people on the outside be like, oh, you're saying that because he's like a geek or whatever. No, because his dialogue's stupid. They give him a horrible dialogue like all the time, the time.
I would say he's better than Jake. You know what I'm saying? Like I think he's a much more supportive friend, than Jake is. Because Jake sound like he hating. Again, why are we wasting dialogue time? Jake wondering whether or not Kevin has sex with Gemma. Ain't none of your business. Where's your girl at? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, to your point that maybe these writers are gonna do some dumb shit and say that somehow Jake is interested in Gemma, which would be ridiculous. But but
they will. Well, I mean, they already kind of threw that hint out already.
We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. But I mean, but since you brought up Kevin, since you brought up Papa, what I want to talk about is once again, the fat kid is worried about food. Once again, he was like, "Can
he said those 2 plates? Yo, those plates are not even plastic. You gonna take those plates? Like,
he's like, can I take a plate?
That's
I was like,
China.
what?
You still from China?
I was like, come on, man. I was like,
what I tell you? He's a comic relief, man. Yo.
So we gotta get to our next review, but I just want Emmett. Let's leave Emmett for next episode when he and Dominique like takes Sonny's. But so I don't want to spend the rest of the episode shitting on him. I'll have other opportunities.
We'll get more. We'll get more. Like I think Keisha kind of threw it down at Emmett, and rightfully
Yes.
so. And that's, like I said, I think that's probably why that was an awesome scene between the two, because she's probably the most real that Emmett probably, other than his own mother. Keisha just kind of threw it out there and said, "This is why like you're fucked up." And I'm glad we ain't still together, because you be cheating on my.
You be cheating on me. You be cheating on me. I was like, I'm sorry, you're right. So that, yes, Keisha summed my feelings up about Emmett very well. She was like, you know what? Is that why would I want to be with you? You probably be fucking around on me, and he would, and he did actually. So I mean, when they were together, so yeah. Anyway, Emmett gonna take over Sonny's again. We'll probably get into that in the next 2 episodes. Just fuck that dude. So anyway. All right, guys, that's the review. Thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment on the video, share the video. Let us know how you think the season's going to end, how you think Keisha's storyline is going to end, what's going to happen with Kevin and Gemma, what's going to happen with Ronnie. I mean, what's his future now that he's fulfilled his purpose? What's going to happen with Emmett? Will Tiffany ever find out about Dominique? Will he become the new food king? Yeah, it's going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes, guys. We'll see you next time.